Hi, Mayank.
Hi, Manju.
Yeah. So we'll start the webinar. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time to attend this webinar. So in next 30 minutes or so, myself and Mayank will be speaking about the Constellation UI technology from Pega Systems. During this time, we'll go over traditional UI versus the Constellation UI, a shift from section and harness-based UI technology to the views and generating the user experience Pega out of the box, and how Pega has transformed the UI UX experience to solve the UI upgrade issues that we have seen in UI Kit as well as Theme Cosmos, the accessibility issues, and the faster development time in terms of focusing more time to the micro journeys and building the case tabs and responsible for digital transformation using Pega technology rather than you spending time on CSS, mixing styles, and JavaScript. So, hello everyone. This is Manjunath, in short, Manju. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Personalize, responsible for customer success and business outcomes by leveraging Pega technology. So, with me, I have Mayank, who leads our solutions and engineering team. His team is responsible for driving innovations at Personalize, focusing on enhancing Pega technology, components, and accelerating time to market by leveraging, so-called Gen AI technology and other solutions that enhances the Pega capabilities. So to be precise, I'll be asking Mayank about Constellation UI architecture of Pega and what is something that Mayank and his team are developing around this. So welcome, Mayank, for the webinar.
Thanks, Manju.
Yeah. So we'll start our first question. So
Yeah.
Mayank, so we have observed the evolution of Pega UI UX patterns, right? So right from UI Kit to Theme Cosmos, I think it was in 2016 and 2019 we had seen some Theme Cosmos. Now to Constellation, right? So can you explain what is Constellation and how it is different from traditional UI UX architecture?
Okay, so see, basically the difference is Constellation is a modular way of design. Okay, so in the case of traditional UI, we had all section-based layout, and here, as we know, it's a view-based layout. Okay, and when I say modular, it's also prescriptive in nature. So basically, Pega provides a way of doing things. They give you certain steps through. If you follow, we get to a point where we get a UI very fast. So turnaround time is very fast. So if a business user wants to develop an UI, a standardized UI, then probably 15-20 minutes, half an hour should be enough. By the time they get a good picture of how their entire data model, how their entire business logic comes on the screen. Okay,
Mhm.
so Constellation gives us that flexibility and reduce the time, and also it takes a lot of technical thing away from business users, through which they can see the impact at a quite faster period of time. So it's a very good platform to reach to the end goal of business at a very precise way. Okay, so this is one thing which it differentiates. Other way you can say it's upgrade is a major issue in the UI thing. When traditional UI was there, this issue has been removed, resolved kind of in Constellation. Then you have issues of maintainability of multiple rules for different kind of data model and different kind of rules. So these things are not there in kind of Constellation. And it's a React based, basically built on React. So you have all these APIs which work behind Constellation. So, and also it provides you a good kind of like extensibility, right? So if you have simple problems, you can build an UI in 15-20 minutes, half an hour. But if you want to be like in complex setup, if you want to be a complex UI, then it provides SDK as well. So you can use the SDK, have a technical know-how of how SDK works and how it's work around and everything, and using that you can build a complex UI. And then sky's the limit. Basically, it's sky's the limit in terms of UI when you go on to complex, because it's based on this React based framework, right, which is open source. So any React
Yeah.
developer can extend it and build anything they want from Constellation. So this is
Okay,
what
got
it
it.
is.
So I think, yeah. So even in my journey of UI Kit and then Team Cosmos, UI Kit is something that it is let you to build anything and everything. That is the mentality is you can do whatever the code that you wanted using auto
Yeah,
generated HTML. You could have actually disable the checkbox and write
yeah,
even the Pega JSP tags or whatever. And also
yeah,
you override those CSS classes and etc. So that was the main reason for an upgrade issues, right? So, and then it was when Pega actually releases some of the new features, they were not able to reflect because of the customization. And the theme Cosmos, I think was a theme based kind of a UI UX pattern. It solved some of the issue. But now the Constellation, right, which is I think the Pega out of the box is delivering that UX experience, right? It is auto generating the code, and also it is extensible, and then also it's kind of a center out architecture, right? In terms of you can do anything and everything with the other applications, other channels and all those things. So that's a good thing about Constellation. So I got what is something, the differences between the UI UX of traditional and then the newer version, right? So that actually draws me to the next question, Mike, right? So
Yeah.
in terms of the architecture, right? So
Yes.
can we look at the Constellation architecture and see what are all the components that is responsible for generating, the best practices of the user experience, and also how
Mhm.
does the DX APIs? You talked about some DX APIs, so the service-oriented architecture now the Constellation is. So can we look at that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll show my screen. Probably I'll show you the architecture
Sure,
diagram.
that would be
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see here right now. So this is the diagram, basically what Constellation architecture looks like, right? So this basically the architecture divided into multiple parts. So we'll start our discussion from left to right. Okay. So you can see it's Constellation DX component builder, which comes as part of this Pega product Infinity Server. So this is basically used to build the components. Okay. So as I told you, everything Constellation is actually DX API behind the scene, right? So it works on the basis of DX API. So we build components. So it's since a React-based technology that we build everything is a component here. It's a modular way of programming, as I told you, right? So DX is used to build all those components. And Pega Infinity Server also provides something called SDK, which I told you. So
Hmm.
SDK, you can use React, Angular, any web, mostly React and Angular as of now, and Vue also is there. But you can use React to build custom components. So as I told you briefly, like if you want some complex components, if you want to add a layer of personalization on top of your constellation, then you can use SDK and create a suite of components or create your own portal, and that is basically called a static content, right? Or we can say client design system. So that is deployed
Hmm.
on the browser. Okay. Now coming to
Okay.
the browser part, so this is divided into multiple parts. So one is your client design system, and there is something called Constellation design system, okay, which has all the Constellation components which comes from Pega. Okay. So both these things are rendered on top of a Constellation JS engine, right? So how Constellation JS engine basically works? So once you deploy all the UI related stuff on the browser, so Constellation JS engine basically interacts with the UI service which is present provided by Pega, and it then renders all the components on your browser. So this UI server in Constellation engine is the one which is responsible for rendering all the UI modifications, be it Pega based components or your custom components. Everything actually renders on top of Constellation JS engine. And to render that and create a relation between Constellation JS engine and your component, there are bridges which Pega provided. So these are React based, Angular based, any web components basically. But the bridges are used to fill the gap between the engine and your components. Right? So this is how this entire thing in a nutshell has been developed. So that, and the reason why it's done like that, because since everything is inbuilt now, it takes a lot of pain away from writing this complex APIs calls and all this interaction between different APIs. And Constellation takes care of all those things and does it for us. Okay. So this architecture is designed to simplify the way, and it's a one step ahead of your starter pack and everything else which has there in the past. So
So that
next,
starter pack
yes,
has something called DXAPI version one and
yes,
version two, and
yes,
then there were a lot of enhancements. Now all those has gone, and then it has
yes.
embedded inside the Constellation JS engine. Okay,
Yes, it's a simplified way basically. So we only focus on the UI part. Everything Pega takes care of.
and also
So
the authoring of the UI UX you can very much do in the App Studio, and
yes,
and
yes,
and then you can actually build your own views and of course the views that is, and then it actually generates out of the box UX architecture. Okay.
yes. So if you want to build using Pega components, go for App Studio. If you want to customize yourself, you can use SDK. So there are two ways of doing
Mhm.
things, right? So here, if you
Okay.
see in this architecture, right, like the process diagram kind of thing, how this flow of Constellation works, and different options what Constellation provides. So see Pega, so Constellation DX API is the underlying layer. On top of that, there are multiple ways we can do. So you build a native application using App Studio, as you told, using Constellation and the App Studio. You build a Pega native application. Then you can go through and embed these components and create a web embed Constellation based application. You can embed in a website. Suppose somebody has a front end website for banks and they want a loan origination kind of thing. So they can build that in Pega Constellation. They can embed that loan origination form basically on their website wherever they want, right? So this
Understood.
is
Okay.
one option of doing web embed. Then we go for your Salesforce, the Pega Lightning connector already there, which works in tandem with Salesforce. Then your SDK customization comes. So on, as I told you, there's something called SDK, right, which we can use to customize things beyond the Pega native. So those things you can do using SDK, customize it, and take help of Constellation SDK. Using SDK, you customize, and then you put it on the website. So there are two way of doing website, right? When you put directly what you build in Constellation native, and then you customize using SDK, and then put the same thing also on website. So it provides multiple ways of using Constellation, different ways you can use as per the business requirement. So all these things runs on top of your Constellation DX API. So as I told, this takes care of all these API calls and everything. These are kind of behind the wall, and we just need to focus on what we need in terms of UI. So this is how the
So
simplest form of architecture.
yeah, it's interesting to see that you took an example of this, a mortgage or a loan origination.
Yeah,
That if they have an existing website, they can actually do this web embed constellation,
yeah,
views, right? So into that, there's kind of a micro journey or a case type. So I
yeah,
think it is similar to what we have seen, something called mashup technology, right? So in the
yeah.
previous versions of Pega, and then also
Yes,
maybe it was leveraging the UIQ.theme Cosmos. So and then so you have another way of doing it using web. They have their own website. It could be React or Angular, and then you can leverage the SDK of Pega, Constellation SDK, and then you can very much do the same kind of development by embedding or those components of Pega. It could be a workplace or a data page, or it could be even the case type, right? Again, yeah,
yes, yes.
understood. So are there any examples of this kind of constellation portals that you can give, and if your team has already worked on
Yes. So basically,
real
they
time
started with,
examples?
yeah. So started Constellation way back around 2 years back, right? So exploring the Constellation
Hmm.
when it was even with the DX starter pack. Then we started the Constellation. So we built one agent portal, entire agent portal, which is being currently used by one of our auto financial services client, and they are quite
Okay,
received quite a lot of good feedback from the client, and it's a successful implementation for them. Okay, and so this is one of the, and then we are building our notification framework, which is a solution what we built in the past, and we are changing it to Constellation based notification framework. And there are a lot of other use cases also, like loan origination I gave you, then kind of external portal, then you have customer service portal. So all these things can be done using Constellation, and we have done it. As I told you, we have done it in the past, and it doesn't, it makes things very easier for the for any client who want to expose Pega to end users using the for different
hmm,
kind of external portals, self-service portal. So those kind of things you can do.
understood. So I think so. So what you're actually building at Insulas is something wherever there is an external user touch points, and then wanted to
Yes.
collaborate directly onto the case management application, right? So instead of
Yeah.
traditional emails or other communication channels, you are,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong, if you're opening a digital channel and
Yes.
then
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
using the Constellation SDK, or it could be a web Constellation, and then you're directly asking the users to participate into a case processing, right? So that's a like
Yes.
digital collaboration. So I'm actually interested to see some of the solutions that you already built. If you can actually demo some of them, or what is it something that you are doing in Constellation, right?
Yeah. So today we'll basically we'll like, I'll briefly give you a kind of inside view of one of the solution which we are building for Pega World. Okay. So this is going, actually the full-fledged application will unveil only in the Pega World. Okay. So right now we'll
Hmm.
only show, if you can say, some part of it. Okay. Since we are preparing only for Pega World for this, right? So
Sure.
this basically component has two parts. Okay. So I'll share my screen again and I'll try to display all those things. So if my screen is visible, so this is basically a Pega portal, right? And then we have one end user portal. Right? Two portals are there. So correct me, Manju, if my screen is visible for you entirely.
Yeah, it's visible. Yes, go ahead.
So we have created this application using Constellation. It's a simple mortgage loan application. Okay, and we create one case type. So you can see these are components what we use. So this some components are used via Pega, and some of our
Hmm.
custom components. Okay, so our solution is divided into two parts. Okay, one part is Constellation Suite. Okay, what we are creating, we are calling it Insta Suite, and other is Insta Theme Manager. Okay, so two parts of it. So what InstaSuite contains more than 50 plus components in total with different variations. So you can say all the controls, you say text box, you say radio button, you say checkbox, you say all these components, UI components, calendar, all those things we have created a suite of components that can be readily available for business user to use. And these components are not Pega components, these are custom components which we built using SDK. Okay, so now nobody has to go through and use the SDK to build these components. Okay, so small form we built. So you can see this marital status. This is something which looks different from Pega drop down. So this kind of customized for us. You can change the size of this text box as per your business requirement. And this forms you can see radio buttons. So small things we built. I'll not go ahead and put data over here. So these things, and then if you go move ahead, I'll show you one more component what we built. So once we submit this screen, so you can say this feedback rating kind of thing, right? So these things we have built. So this is a custom component, one of our custom components we have built. We have other components like slider and other things like that. Okay, so these are the things. If you notice, the buttons doesn't look how it looks in Pega. Okay, so Pega buttons comes a different way. This is something which we build custom. So these are the few things which are adding as a suite of components. And same thing, we build the portal, and then what you see here is the SDK portal. So this is completely built on SDK, and this is built a Pega native app, the Pega native Constellation app, and this is customized using Constellation, right, SDK. So if I click on this case type, so this is what it looks like, right? So we just exported this into this. So if you see, there's a consistency between these two portals. Okay, this is what Constellation provides. Now comes our flavor on top of it is the theme manager. Okay, so the problem what you're solving, uh, so basically Pega's theme manager, right? Constellation theme manager works only on internal portals. So Pega native portal it works, but it doesn't work on external portal. Now if I'm a client, I have developed an application, I want all my portals to look with same branding as my other portals are. Doesn't matter internal external whatever, but I want a consistency in branding, right? So we extend the capability of Pega to add a consistency throughout the external and internal portal, right? And even the components what we add here, the same components will come and be visible over here, right? So if I
Hmm.
go forward, probably you will see that same component is available over here also. Okay, so this is the customization. You can say the half rating, full rating. So these are the customization options what you provide, that you can go for full rating or half rating, things like that. So our focus is to bring consistency and reduce the time frame. Now I'll show you how theme manager works. You click on theme manager. As of now, we have a couple of components. There are more components added with time. So it's an ongoing process. So there are three themes. If you see the theme one, the text box looks like this. In theme two, it looks a separate way. In theme three, this looks like this. So right now we have theme three wherever we see, right? So these forms are all theme three kind of thing. Okay. So if I go to theme one, if I want to change theme one, I go and select. Just I do a select of theme one, and if I find with red color, it's fine. If I want to change from red to, let's suppose I want to go for blue. Okay. So I just click on save theme, and theme is updated. So theme is updated here. Theme one, if I refresh this particular browser, then theme one will be updated in this particular browser also. See, everything is coming in the blue color which I selected, right? So this is
And
what we
also the
built.
components got changed, is it?
Everything you
Yeah.
see, this component has become this text box like this. If you go and see the button has become rounded. So right now, any Pega Constellation user doesn't need to go and learn CSS or learn React or learn a different way of how SDK works. They can directly take this component, inbuild the way they want, and just see the entire UI got changed as per their requirement. Right. So this is what we are doing. And as I told, it's ongoing process. We have more than 50 plus components which will unveil in Pega World, which all different variations and everything. And this will uh, probably help a lot of business users to go get off the ground in a very speed and very what is it, faster turnaround time and more efficient way. Right? So this is what we
So
do.
my understanding is,
Yeah.
so you have a set of themes,
Yes.
and teams will have the components, right? So
Yes.
which means you have taken into consideration the accessibility, the look and feel, the UX guidelines, the best practices for which team. For example, team one, right? You have a set of
Yes.
components that actually renders well into the screen, and
Yes.
also it actually makes sense from all the best practices and safe customization and etc. Right? So instead of, as opposed to you giving around 50, or 10 to 50 kind of DX components, so
Hmm.
what you are actually doing is something that you are bifurcated or categorize those components into themes, and then
Yes.
you are allowing the user to actually apply the theme whatever they wanted, right? And is this user based theming, or it is going to apply for the whole
Yeah.
set of users?
Yeah, I forgot to actually mention that. So the best part of this entire theming is user personalization, not portal personalization. Okay, so that is actually the USP. Okay, so normally when we modify a theme in Pega portal, right, we modify as a portal, not as an individual user. But here we are modifying it for a user. So if suppose this user portal, right, if I like blue color, so I put as blue color. If you log in, you can select red color, and it will be red color and the kind of theme, kind of button you like for you. Okay, so it's personalized as per the user's interest, not as per the portal interest, kind of thing. Okay, also to add one more point to you, the component thing, right, what you told. So theming is an extension of that. So if you don't want to, if you just want the entire theme, click of a button, change the entire suite of components and change everything as per your look. Now if you want to build a portal with a lot of components, like from scratch you want to build a Constellation portal, then you can use our inbuilt components individually and place it wherever you want. Let's suppose I told you the rating part, right? So this is a component. This is not comes as a package from Pega as of now, right? So this component, what we give you, you can add it wherever you want. So like that, we have all these components. You can add the components and build a portal. Now the portal is ready. Now you want the consistency throughout the portal. Then you can use the theme. Click a button, your entire theme will customize as per the component present in that particular theme 1, theme 2, theme 3, whatever we have seen, right? So
Yeah,
it is basically two things which works together.
understood. I think Pega Theme Manager is also great, but but you are adding some of the capabilities on top of that, and
Yes.
you are categorizing those DS components. So I believe so Mank, one of the issue that Pega is solving in terms of the upgrade issues or performance issues is to avoid the developers going and customizing the CSS and customizing a lot of things. Even if
Yeah.
someone is actually creating a DX component that
Yes.
requires some kind of knowledge of React and etc. And also,
Hmm.
not only that React knowledge, also it is something that needs to be taken care with a lot of other factors of UI UX when it
Yeah.
comes to accessibility, when it comes to faster performance or rendering, also when it comes to whether that actually fits in different screens of the devices, right? So that's what I think. No, it's just not a DX component, but you need to also look at all these factors. And
Yes.
what you're saying is this theme manager will take care of all those things, right? And then one of the beauty that Pega has done is actually in the Constellation. If you see the inspect code, and if you look at the
Yeah.
CSS class, they have actually enfuscated it, or they have masked it by doing something called hash strings of the CSS, which is to
Hmm.
basically avoid people are going and doing those CSS modification, right? And they don't want
Yeah.
to actually show that original class name of the CSS, so that they can, if at all, if there is any new upgrade, they can easily do a new feature rollout. I think you're all those things you're taken into consideration, and then did the safe customization, I believe, and then you have come up with this kind of a theme manager.
Yes, Manju. So Pega follows MEY. We are also following MEY. Okay, and we are following. If you follow the GitHub of Pega of Constellation, they are regularly updating every 3 4 days something. So we are also keeping a track, keeping in line with Pega's update of Constellation SDK.
Best
Yeah,
practices,
yeah.
yeah.
So everything whatever Pega follows, we are following the same standard. We are just adding a layer on top of it to make uh, a faster turnaround time for a complex UI, right? So everything what a Pega follows adherence to the standard, latest UI development, latest frameworks what Pega use. So we are following everything. So upgrade there won't be any issue. Whenever Pega upgrades, it goes in tandem with us. So it's all in sync.
Okay.
Nothing to worry about that front.
Sure, Mayank. I think you might have already touched base upon how big is the problem and etc. That
Yeah,
or how what is the problem that you're solving, right? So,
yeah,
can you please again, if you don't mind, can you
yeah.
explain how big is the problem of this one, and then what is a problem that you're actually trying to solve?
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure. So, see, based on my experience, right, of building a complex UI and using React and all those other technologies beyond Pega. So, see, first of all, learning a new technology or getting someone in the team and upgrading them to a new technology itself is a challenging task for any organization. Okay, so building a simple UI using Constellation Pega, as I told you, it's a half an hour task, one portal you can do. The moment you want to customize, right, upgrading someone to know React or getting someone who knows React to your team, it's a task. Then, if you want to customize a portal in SDK, right, my experience of our team experience basically, it takes almost like a week or so to build 3 to 4 good components if you want to use, right? So if you have 30 40 components through application, it can go up to month to build this entire component and make it accessible to your users. Okay, so your 1 month of task, one person or two-person behind it, and then you have UI designer, then you have developer. So two-person, three-person, then you're building technology know-how, then you're investing your time of 1 month more than that. So entire all these things we are doing probably in 10, you just a package, you invest 10 15 minutes and then you are just good to go. So reducing that kind of time frame. So the ROI kind of thing you can see. So a business who want to implement, they have to invest months and month or a lot of people, and we are giving it maybe 15 20 minutes or half an hour you can do. Just a package you import and you just start using it, right? So we are trying to solve this problem of having a technical know-how in the team and then getting investing more time on that. And other front, we are in tandem with Pega. So wherever Pega upgrades, we go along with Pega. So we are just taking you with Constellation, and we are also increasing the adaptability of Constellation. Okay, so it's making it more accessible to more and more users and more businesses. And we want to implement more and more use cases using our basic solution, whatever we are doing right now.
Understood. I think you are allowing the developers of Pega to actually spend more time in their transformation and a journey, right? Looking
Yes,
at the case journeys or looking at the important business features to be rolled out rather than looking at UI UX, spending a lot of time, and then you
yes,
are trying to provide some kind of an acceleration to that. So got
yes,
you. So now, Mayank, so if you look at a lot of customers, maybe they are in the verge of moving from UI kit or theme Cosmos to the Constellation, right? Or
yes.
they may be also at UI kit or theme Cosmos, right? So what is the something that they are going to miss if they don't actually move to the Constellation, UI UX quickly? So how is that adoption? What is that something that businesses are going to lose if there is no adoption of Constellation?
Yeah. Means as per research done by basically Pega only, if you see 96% of US US residents have responded that a better UI leads to better transaction or higher number of transaction. And 90% of them even responded that all the businesses which doesn't have a modern UI, they lose some kind of business. Okay, so this is almost 96 90% data. People in favor of a better UI or a modern UI. So the moment any business doesn't land onto Constellation and in their in Pega ecosystem, then they will miss the bus where they will eventually lose some kind of business values. Okay, and getting on the platform will only add them or make them more accessible to the coming changes in the UI world, because I'm quite sure that Pega will follow the new trend. So whatever today, next year something else will come and Pega will add those UI trend into their constellation, and we will also chug along with them, right? So any business which misses now, probably they will come 1 year after, but they will have they are late to the party. Okay, so my
Yeah,
recommendation for every business to join the bandwagon as soon as possible, so that with the maturity of Pega, we also mature and get our system on board for the maximum users and our business.
understood. I think I heard that in some of the webinars of Pega, so they're also coming up with some accelerators, migration accelerators or migration tools to
Yeah.
transform them from the UI kit or theme cosmos to the constellation. Of course, it cannot do everything at one stretch. Maybe there could be a lot of retrofitting that is required, but definitely it's going to be a jump start. Using the migration tools. How
Yes.
far that is going to. So we have to wait and see. Maybe in next couple of months. And also,
Mhm.
you brought an important point, right? So Pega is also upgrading quickly to meet the market standards and etc. And I
Yes.
think
Yes.
I'm already seeing that 24.1 has a lot of innovations and a lot of
Yes.
improvements that are done in the Constellation. I think I'm also waiting for Pega World
Yeah.
to actually see some more features, some more enhancements on the Constellation. So what I heard also, they have also done something related to the data objects, and
Mhm.
the repeating grid layouts, and you can do anything and everything on that particular UX, right? Straight away embedding those conditions and all those things. So it's interesting to watch and also wait for the new features that's going to unveil on the Constellation. So,
Yeah.
so another question, um, Mayank, right? So, is there any do's and don'ts, when it comes to Constellation UI UX, when you are doing some customization or doing some solutioning, right?
Mhm.
What are the do's and don'ts about that? Yeah.
Okay. So if you're a business and basically want to use Constellation, right? So my personal recommendation would be that you see what this particular case type of yours. So as you say, you can build a Constellation for different case types, right? So if your case type needs some kind of complex components which Constellation doesn't provide as of now. Okay, for example, I'll tell you, last release doesn't have get next talk, but this release has get next talk, but still they don't have Pulse. Maybe next release will come with Pulse, right? So if your business currently has some complex components which Constellation doesn't have, so you can wait for
Hmm.
that time. But for other case types which doesn't have those many complex components, then definitely you can move ahead of Constellation and take the flavor of it. And once things fall in place, the components what you need, then probably slowly and gradually you can move towards Constellation. But moving everything at one shot may create some kind of hiccups, but one by one a gradual movement toward Constellation is definitely recommended for any business.
Understood. So I think that's an interesting thing. I think someone has to keep in mind that they are actually exposing the Constellation either to embed or portal mode or embedded mode,
Yeah.
right? So what are that something capabilities of that's complex processes that they can expose to the outside world or to even the employee facing portals.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. Yeah. So it is better to know the limitations of
Yes.
constellations, and of course, I think Pega is also keep improving on that fact, right? So at this point in time, I think we would like to take any Q&A. So I'm not sure. I don't think that we have any Q&A that's coming up. So then, in that case, we are going to end this particular webinar. So, thanks, Mayank, for your time in navigating
Thank you.
around the Constellation technology, specifically the do's and don'ts, and why Pega wanted to promote Constellation to everyone. So, in conclusion, I think Constellation addresses significant, pain points in traditional UI development, allowing the
Yes.
business users to do the UI authoring or the app studio, kind of a citizen development, or it is a center-out architecture, offering a scalable, maintainable, right? And also center-out architecture for sure.
Yeah.
So, if you would like to, connect with us and understand more about your UX team who are actually there in this webinar, uh, you're in the whether you're in the journey of traditional UI, looking for quick support and advisory, we are happy to connect and provide that complimentary advisory for a couple of weeks. And here are coordinates which is getting displayed. Feel free to send an email or WhatsApp us. We'll be happy to connect and take it forward. And we're also proud showcase sponsor of Pega World 24. We'll be in Las Vegas, myself and Mang and the team. Yeah, if any one of you are making it to Pega World, happy to connect you there at booth number 34. And we will be showcasing some of the groundbreaking innovations and use cases around Constellation and also on the CDH aspects and etc. So in the areas of banking, telco, and insurance, in terms of solving the digital collaboration issues using Constellation. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll be there to see you guys, and also maybe through WhatsApp or email. We'll be happy to connect. So thank you for your participation and engagement. We look forward to assisting you in leveraging Constellation to drive our business forward. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.